Hi there, I'm Rachel Baxter, and I'm going to share with you a dream and the interpretation I had from May of 2016. Again, keep in mind, it's now November of 2025, over 9 years ago that I had this dream. Very different time than we are in right now. Just want to point you to scrollandfigleaf.wordpress.com if you'd want to read this. I'm going to share with you the interpretation I gave at that time, and now, 9 years later, what we now maybe can see more clearly in view. On May 25th, 2016, I dreamt that I was sleeping in my bed and dreaming when I was awakened by an open vision that began as a television cartoon being played on my bedroom wall like a projector. Eventually, the black and white cartoon characters faded away like a broadcast coming into focus. I saw a parade of blue military tanks going down the road. I knew that I was facing north, and so the tanks were moving in front of me from right to left. In other words, they were traveling from east to west. After seeing the tanks, I saw scenes of chaos and violence between people. Then I saw a hospital scene where a young lady had lost her face. Her face was in a metal tray. I watched and realized that her body had been separated in pieces so that her upper torso and arms were attached to her head, but her face was gone. With her arms and her hands, she covered the place where her face would have been as if in embarrassment. I watched as the nurses began to move her various pieces in preparation for surgery. I thought to myself, how would they ever put her back together? On the bed where the lower half of her body lay, there was a fake head or bust of a plaster head laying as if it were there somehow a placeholder for the head to be reattached. During the dream, none of this was gross, but very strange and disturbing. So that's the end of the dream. I prayed, Father God, was this dream from you? Please give me understanding. I then heard Jesus say, this dream is from my Father. He desires to show you the current state of America. The dream should be interpreted in reverse order. What is to come will result in America losing face. She will face much mockery. She will be cut into two pieces. There will be those that want to try to put her back together again, but it will not be possible. She will be irrevocably torn in two. After this happens, chaos will ensue. America will be decimated by her enemies. America, in its current form, will be remembered no more and will fade away from the pages of history. What once was and now is shall be no more. So now I'm going to share with you the interpretation that I gave in 2016 with some additional insight from present day. I believe that the young lady that I saw represents Lady Liberty, the country we once knew and which was once known by the world to be all-powerful and honorable as one nation under God, is now being made into a mockery by our own sin and rebellion. The face that was removed represents the reality that the face of America has changed. We are no longer a nation of Christians who uphold basic biblical values. The face of America now looks like satanic worship, Muslim extremism, and LGBT rhetoric. We've become a people completely given over to sin. I feel that the cutting in two of her body can be thought of both metaphorically and spiritually, as well as physically. We are seeing our country divided today. At the time of the stream, it was over the election between Hillary and Trump. In the interpretation from 2016, I shared that I believe the portion of the dream where the fake or false head is laying above the lower torso points to a false leader that will be set in place for a time as our president, though he or she will never truly lead our country, since it won't be possible to put it back together again. That false leader will be just a puppet controlled ultimately through the Antichrist. So after the election of 2016, we saw the election of 2020 between Biden and Trump, where I believe we saw the fake head installed. Biden's 4 years as president were literally a laughing stock across the world, while at the same time it was believed and has now been shown through the auto pen scandal that it was Obama who had 4 more years in the Oval Office, but behind the scenes truly pulling Biden's strings. There are many of us who pray that America would be restored, again one nation in unity under God, but I believe that hope is no longer possible because God has declared that redemptive judgment must come upon our wicked nation. A people divided against itself will fail. As in the dream, a body once cut into two can't be put back together again. I did not see a logo on the tanks, but I believe the blue military tanks that I saw belong to the United Nations. Even while in the dream, I thought about the UN when I saw the tanks. Upon awakening, I looked up the UN and the tanks matched the blue shade of the UN flag. As a people, we are being divided like the wheat from the tares. Our own federal government may even welcome the UN military forces into our country under false pretenses of reestablishing order. What I'd also say is it's possible that there would be some kind of a coup that would happen with the other side that would actually conspire with the UN, as we're seeing right now in our nation, the way that Trump is taking power away from the UN and from NATO within our own country. So we could see some kind of a coup that would involve those forces, those what we'll call the global elitists, coming against what President Trump is doing right now in our country. So if we were to see this come to pass now, that's one scenario, just something to think about that we could see come to play. We know that where they say peace and safety, beware. I heard Jesus speak to me that America will be decimated by her enemies and conquered. Other prophetic voices have seen attacks on American soil by China and Russia. I believe we will see this occur, and America will cease to exist as the same nation, and as Jesus said, America as she was will be remembered no more. I do believe with all my heart that the Lord has a plan to redeem his people in this land, and much of the land itself to be a wilderness place during the Great Tribulation of 3.5 years ahead of us. America will change, but there will once again and forevermore be a nation of people living in this land under the one true God, serving King Jesus.